It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Spooky.
Very well.
I'm good.
Hope everybody's doing okay out there. So what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Well,
Well,
it is spooky season.
It is.
It is. A lot of good stuff on TV right now. Yeah, I mean, normally you can sit there and flip and not find anything, and now it's kind of like, wow. Do I want to watch Michael tonight, or do I want to watch Jason? Who got flowers? But it's pretty cool the way I think it's AMC's been playing Halloween, and we were watching it. I fell asleep watching it, and I woke up about 4 o'clock in the morning. Somebody screaming like they're being killed, and so it was like one of those holy shit. I wake up and I see Michael on the screen. It's like, okay,
Was it
turn
at
this
least
shit off.
where you fell asleep so that you could pick it back up? I mean, come on.
Right. Probably, given how much time had gone by there. And I'm surprised. It's normally my TV does this sleep mode, which I hate. Since it's streamed, after so many hours, it'll be like, hey, are you there? And that's cool. You know, normally conserve energy or whatever. I mean, it's not like the TV turns off, just the channel does. So I don't get it completely, but okay. But sometimes, you know, especially if I'm here alone, I kind of want that noise in the background. So I'm not hearing the house settle or the dogs go out the back door 50 million times, you know. So it's kind of nice to have that, but not when they're screaming that way. So, yeah. But yeah, pretty much picked up the next day. I guess it was 2 days that they played Halloween for. All of them back to back, or the only one, guess which one they always skip out of there?
2.
3.
3.
They skipped 3, and the second one of Rob Zombies. They only play the first one. So it's kind of like, okay, fair.
Well, they skipped 3 because it's not Michael.
Yeah.
Which is, we've already gone over through that. That's the reason why a lot of people crap on the film.
Right. But yeah, it's a good story. And, you know, like you said, I think if they go back to doing it that way, where it's the anthology kind of thing, then cool. I could see that, but yeah. And then also, I have always dumped on the movies, said I ain't going back, sticky floors, gross people. I went to the movies this weekend. We actually went to the Harbor, though, and that's actually a nice movie theater out there. The seats recline, and like you don't even know you're sitting next to people, and the little tables swing in and out. It's a pretty nice little movie theater. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. We did go see Paw Patrol. I always thought it would be a movie that I wanted to really see that would bring me back to the movies, but it wasn't. I will say this for a kid's show, it wasn't that bad. I have watched a lot of crap in my years of watching kids and having kids and watching other people's kids. Um, it's not that bad. Whoever's been doing these movies, they've done a really good job. And I know that's kind of crazy because it's a kids movie, but um,
What does that mean
with
exactly? Why can't kids' movies be good?
well, because sometimes they dumb it down so bad
Oh,
because it's a
okay.
kids movie
I see
that
what
it
you mean.
kind of makes it hard to get into to watch because it's like Jesus Christ, just turn it off. But there are some programs though that she watches that I really enjoy. Um, Before the baby was born, I was watching a little girl and Paw Patrol first came out. And of course, me being a dog person, it was like, yes, you love Paw Patrol. um, there's been a lot of cute dog shows out, but this one, I think as far as teaching a kid a good lesson, Paw Patrol has always checked those boxes and they've never dumbed it down for them. It's a good message of he lied kind of thing, and you can't get away with that. So, plus team building. But anyways, from the very beginning when the show first came out, that's been 6, 7 years now. Their tagline was no job too big, no pup too small. And it's cute, right? Little puppy dogs are solving the crimes. It was a cute little tagline, but talk about want to make you cry. Not that I haven't been emotional or anything this past couple of months, but this story was about Sky. And Sky, she's a popular character, but she's not a real popular character. He uses her, but she's never the main leader of the group. She's always been support. So it was kind of nice to see a movie about her. But she's the smallest of the group because she's like a little Cocker Spaniel or something. And they're Dalmatians and German Shepherds. And, she is a little dog. So when all the shit's going down and it just doesn't look good and she's kind of given up on herself, Ryder looks at her and he goes, "You're the whole reason I added no pup too small." And it was like the whole movie theater. You could even hear the little kids go, "Oh," because it was just so sweet. But I have never been to a kids show on opening day like that. These kids were howling like the dogs. They were cheering. It was
A riot.
just to watch. Yeah, it was awesome. I love just watching them see this stuff for the first time. It was so cool. And of course, like I said, you've got 50 kids in a movie theater howling. Nobody got pissy. Nobody got upset. Nobody was like, "Oh my God, make your kid be quiet." So it was great. It was Leanne's first time going to the movies too. So that experience for her, and she could howl with all these other kids, and it was pretty cool. I will probably take her back again to a different one, just for how happy she was. So it wasn't bad. And like I said, if you have kids, I totally would recommend this one, especially if they've been a Paw Patrol fan for a while. Their little spin-off shows have gotten kind of popular, but this one definitely brought it back to the roots and why the dogs were so special, which is kind of cool because every kid needs to know that they're special in their own way. You can still be part of a team and be yourself, So, yeah. Other than that, like I said, I've been watching all these, the spooky movies and stuff and taking care of myself,
Cool. Taking care of yourself is important.
It is, yeah.
Watching spooky movies is also important. Because that's what we're talking about for the month. So,
Yeah.
That was her first film in a theater?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
she was,
She was born slightly before the pandemic.
Well,
right.
yeah, I understand. I just wanted, I hadn't thought about it, so.
Yep. And I didn't, she's not, she's not one to sitting down to watching a whole full-length movie. There's a few things like, the Mario movie and stuff that's really caught her attention. So I didn't really know how this would go. But I think having the kids around, being the way that they were and that kind of stuff, she did really good. I don't think had the kids not been like that, I don't think she would have sat up there.
So she has a hard time sitting there for an hour and a half and all that, kind of to watch the film. Sounds like
Yeah.
Mike.
Yep.
Mm.
Wow.
No, he's not wrong.
Yep.
I tend to
That's
watch
about
movies
the way
in
she-
small bursts. I don't watch a whole movie at a time.
That's about the way she does. Or if it's a Disney movie, sometimes they'll do like a sing-along where it's like clips of the movie, and she'll watch that. But she's more of the,
Yeah.
tell it to me quick.
So let me ask you guys this, since we're on this, do you remember what the first film y'all saw in a movie theater?
No, at least not that I know of. In
Okay.
a movie
Nice.
theater, honestly,
Yes.
most of my early memories of movies as a kid were drive-ins.
Okay.
Yeah.
The earliest movie I remember, I doubt very much that it was the first one I went to, but the earliest movie I remember, and you'll understand why when I say this,
Mhm.
was Carrie.
Yeah. That could scar you.
Because it would not have, it was in a drive-in, so it wasn't like opening night or anything, but it would not have been out long. And it came out in what, 76?
Yeah, somewhere
Yeah.
around there.
I
75,
was
76,
probably
77, something like that.
6 or 7 years old when I saw it. And I didn't watch the whole thing. I had been told, because you know how drive-ins used to work, they would show two different movies, and they would show the family-friendly one first, and then the parents would all say, okay, now go lay down in the back to the kids.
Yep.
I was
Go
never
sleep.
I was never good at going to sleep. Not even then. I mean, it's almost impossible now, but even when I was a little kid, I couldn't just lay down and go to sleep. And so I ended up seeing enough of that movie to scar me for a while.
It was 76.
See, the first drive-in movie, which we were a family of 6, so that was more the
More your
economical
speed, right.
choice,
Right.
Right,
that
when you're
makes
paying
sense,
for a
yeah.
carload rather than each
Yeah.
individual
6
person.
people.
Mhm.
Yep. And you could bring your own popcorn and stuff. So it was Star Wars. And then in the movie theater, it was The Great Muppet Caper. And then Fox and the Hound. I'm a hound dog.
You remember your childhood better than I do. Than I
Yeah.
remember mine.
Movies. Yeah. First
at least
horror
that-
movie I watched was The Exorcist. That was behind a cracked door.
I bet it was.
I was hooked.
I hadn't seen The Exorcist until they did a re-release of it. God, when was that? Probably 10 years ago. Or, I don't know. I was a grown-up. But they had I want to say it was for the 40th anniversary, but I could be totally wrong on this. But they put it, they showed it in theaters. And that was
Yeah.
actually the first time I'd seen it all the way through.
I still haven't seen that one.
It was interesting.
They're starting to show TV spots for the new one,
Yeah.
which is actually pissing my wife off because it's a fairly graphic commercial. I mean, it's a fairly graphic little
Yeah.
trailer, and it's on broadcast TV.
Mm.
They're showing it during football games, and It's there's lots of screaming and lights flashing and stuff moving around and shadows, and it's a pretty intense little TV spot.
Huh.
And she hates that shit. She's not a horror movie person. I can get her to watch like the Universal monsters from the 30s. I can get her to watch those. That's about as close as she'll get to a horror movie.
Yeah.
They brought back Ellen Burstyn for this one. This is
Yeah, I
supposed to
saw
be.
that.
I think they're doing the same thing. It's like a direct sequel to the original. I may be wrong on that. It's Blumhouse, the guys who did the Halloween trilogy, and apparently they have their eyes set on Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So,
Jason Blum. I've pretty much loved everything he's done. Almost everything he's done.
Yeah, be careful.
A couple of movies popped up in my head. It was like, oh, yeah, okay.
starting to walk that back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But he did a series, a couple of different, like 10 different movies for Hulu. And oh my God, every single one of them was his typical style, which is scare the hell out of you, get to the end of it, and then just totally twist it on its ear, which I love that. I love a good psych. You thought you knew, and now watch this, And that's pretty much what he's known for. So I like that kind of horror. Something that keeps you guessing the whole entire time.
Les, what about you?
Well, now that I'm aged, the first indoor movie we watched was Lady and the Tramp.
Aw.
So that is how old that was. Growing up, I'm like Mike. Our movies were at the drive-ins, and we would always make sure that we went to see a Ma and Pa Kettle movie if it was showing. My parents loved Ma and Pa Kettle. And rightly so. I understand why.
Yeah,
Cool.
that is pretty cool.
Yep. For me, I still have never been to a drive-in. I would like to have the experience, but that's just something we didn't do. But the first film that I remember actually seeing in the theaters was The Apple Dumpling Gang.
Hmm.
Okay.
I remember that one. That came on the, it was the Disney Insurance movie hour thing. What was that called again?
Mutual of Omaha.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
It's a funny movie.
It is.
I hadn't seen it in forever. I would like to see it again.
I bet Disney's got it.
Oh yeah, it's
Wasn't
on
it-
Disney Plus. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
I have to watch that one again, too. They did a lot of good ones.
Mm.
I liked their Animal Kingdom ones, too.
Okay. Anything else, Liz?
No,
Okay.
that's it.
Alrighty, Mikey.
Somehow I feel like we dodged a bullet there. But funny thing. Yeah, I know. Keep going.
I just forgot. Here in a minute, I'll go, wait,
Right.
remember?
Yeah, you're not necessarily done talking. That's okay though. That's fine. It's a podcast. We're supposed to talk. It helps. I see, and this gets fun because I don't really have a whole lot either. I don't know if I have a good excuse for it, except that it's not going to seem like we're in the middle of horror month, but I mean I'm kind of in the middle of horror month because I'm trying to stay ahead of the movies that we're talking about for horror month. So that actually takes up a noticeable amount of my time. Plus, having a bonus episode to put together is also taking up some of my time.
Mm.
One thing I am doing is I am struggling. I may be losing the battle. I mentioned, it might have been last week, it might have been the week before. I mentioned Baldur's Gate 3 and how I'm not. I probably said at the time I'm not sure if I am interested in this game. The problem is that since then I have gone down the YouTube rabbit hole and watched a shitload of videos about it.
Mm. It's easy to do.
It is.
Really is. I do not have the game yet. I do say yet because I am almost certain that I will at some point. I am trying to be a good boy and wait until they put it on any kind of discount because it's still full price now. Because honestly, it's been a pretty successful game thus far. It's getting harder to wait. I'm trying to like hold out for Black Friday or something to see if I can get some, even like 10% off. I don't care, something. But it looks like a really fun game. It looks it's based on D&D and it's from all reports totally immersive. I mean, it's just got detail upon detail upon detail in this thing, and there's a billion different ways you can go. There's a lot of like role-playing options, and you can steer the course in whatever direction you want at the time, and it just seems like a hell of a lot of fun. So now my goal is to distract myself from it, which is going to be helped by the fact that the game I already play, Dungeons and Dragons Online, is, in fact, as we're recording this tomorrow, as you're hearing it, back on the 4th, is opening up their Halloween-based special event. So that's always fun. It's just basically a bunch of little spooky dungeon challenge things that you can go run and get the little collectibles and pick up the mostly cosmetic, but also occasionally sometimes useful little tidbit. And they tend to keep it open a while, so it'll distract me for a while, for at least a few weeks. I mean, right now they're saying it'll be open for 4 weeks. It'll distract me for at least 2 of them, and that'll help. It'll give me something else to think about.
Cool.
Nice.
Like the sound of that.
Yep.
Yep, more spooky stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Woo.
It's funny that you mentioned that because, well, I'll talk about it during my time. Go ahead, Les. Unless you're through, Mike.
I'm done.
Okay. Les?
Well, I took in some documentaries.
Mm.
The first one I'm going to talk about is available on Prime, Tubi, Roku. It was Dave Stevens' Drawn to Perfection.
Yeah, I've heard of this one.
It is really well done. And to see his rise is astounding. And this is a character, this is a artist, writer that created The Rocketeer, and to see how it flourished is astounding. So that one I recommend big time. The second one is The Ventures, Stars on Guitars. This is on Freevee, Roku, and Tubi, among others. And this is fun because those guitarists were phenomenal. They are phenomenal. I believe they are still working. And to think of all the stuff that they did, and there's a lot of music that people don't remember them doing, like Walk Don't Run, the theme to the Hawaii Five-0.
Da, 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 da. Oh.
They took a 30-second clip and made it into a song. The TV series had a 30-second clip, and they made it into a full 2.5, 3 minute song. The third thing I watched was on,
Yeah.
Help me. The series that I brought up last time, Good Bad Flicks, has a segment called Exploring. And I think I told you before that Exploring looks at different films. This one was Exploring and covered scarecrows.
Oh.
And it's astounding what they did, how they did it, what obstacles they met, yet they pulled it off. And yeah, we covered it last year. And I'm sorry?
I was agreeing. Yep. We did.
And made fun of it. But this thing was, it was astounding as to what they had to overcome to make this movie. So if you get a chance, I'm going to say, take a look at it. Take a look at YouTube and make your own decision. Of course, with any movie we cover, we want you to make your own decision. But this one, it stood out. And I could give you some examples, but I'm not going to because there were so many different things. So if you get the chance, try it out.
You've got me curious.
It's about a 20 minute. It's about 20 minutes long. But you go, what the hell? And they did a lot better job than really what we gave them credit for. So that's kind of it for me.
Cool.
Okay. Well, for me, I kind of started talking about it just a couple of minutes ago with what Mike was talking about. I watch on Twitch every once in a while, and kind of got back into watching some DayZ streamers. Well, they just opened up a new server that's a Halloween server, and it just happened within the last couple of days, and it's been kind of interesting watching that because it's perpetually night. You have like purple fog, you have green fog. In addition to the zombies, you've got like a mummy, you've got werewolves, other creatures. It's been kind of cool to watch this, except for, and I've kind of talked about this before, especially when I talk about DayZ. You get some of these players who they get, they get all the weapons they can, and all they do is just stay there and wait for others to show up just to kill them off. I'm just like, how is that freaking fun? it's certainly not for the ones who are just showing up.
Right.
I've talked about that before, and I don't know. And I don't know how you can deal with that, especially since I don't know. But anyway, so from some of what I saw, it looks like it's fun, and they're having fun, other than that bullshit. So it's been kind of cool to watch the last day or two. Yeah, I've kind of gone down the YouTube rabbit hole on several different fronts. One of them I kind of mentioned last week, which, by the way, we did record our special episode last week, and it's supposed to be coming out here in another couple weeks, so be looking forward to that. I've kind of gone down the match game rabbit hole, watching some of the old shows. It's been kind of fun watching that. I've actually, what I've been trying to do is play the game along with them, trying to figure out, okay, what's going to be the answers that are going to be matched up and that kind of stuff. Sometimes I do real well, and sometimes I don't. And I think some of it is just, it's stuff I didn't think, it just didn't come to me. And others are dated. I mean, they'll pop up something, and I come up with the answer, but I'm like, okay, my frame of reference is about 20 or 30 or 40 years later. Or some of them dealt with like the gas crisis or the meat crisis, with prices going up and that kind of stuff. So some of the jokes and puzzles were based off that. I'm like, okay, I don't remember that, but then again, I was only 3, 4, 5, 6 when that was going on, so obviously I wouldn't remember that type of stuff. But it's been fun. It's kind of fun watching all the celebrities. It seems like there's always 1 or 2 episodes where I'm going, I have no freaking clue who this person is. You've out of a panel of 6, I mean, maybe 9 times out of 10 I'll know all 6, but there's one they'll throw at me and I'm going, okay. And then they say it's from, hey, it's this person from this show. Like, that doesn't help me, but okay.
Yeah, never heard of it.
So, and oh god, the suits that Gene Rayburn wore. Oh my god. There's actually a video, because it's this one person. He calls himself, or she calls himself, Match Game Productions, but she said they say that they really have no ties to the show and all that. They're just doing this out of fun. They did one video and it's like 6 or 7 hours of a bunch of episodes where he's wearing the most ridiculous suits and all that. But that's the other thing that's pretty good, because he or she would do the top 25 best episodes featuring this panelist. He just released one a couple weeks. Well, he releases all the time, but he did a special one for Bob Barker in a tribute to him, because he just passed away recently. So that kind of stuff. It's been kind of fun to watch some of that. The only drawback is, oh my god, earworm. Ugh, that damn music. I like the music.
That's my son's band's name.
Good name.
But after 3 or 4 hours of hearing that over and over and over and over again, because you're talking about 3 or 4 hours, you're talking about 6 or 8 episodes or so. That's a lot of that music back to 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 back. And I got it. I take a break. You got to take a break. Get away from it. And the orange. Oh my god. The orange.
The 70s.
Mm.
Between the orange and Gene Rayburn's suits.
Mm. It was, he had posted one. It was the last one. It was the last one was filmed. And it was funny because there was a big discussion in the comment section. And because it ended when they came back from the final commercial break, he came back. It started off with Charles Nelson Riley saying thank you to Gene. He said it like 3 or 4 times, but Gene did the usual wrap up. So there was confusion on whether or not they knew it was the final episode. And I'm going, come on, they knew. But someone had pointed out, it's like, well, after 79, they took the years off the title. That way they can put together a package and do reruns, which is what they did. Because that was that was the final episode, and they just started doing reruns after that.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And speaking of which, I think the same channel also has some of the original one from, what was it, 50s or 60s, the match game that he did?
60s.
60s? Oh my God. I don't particularly care for that version of Match Game. Because it's essentially a different format, where the one that we're off of, it's 2 players, and you're trying to match with 6 celebrities. Where the original version, it's 2 teams of 3. You get 2 contestants on each team, and then you get a celebrity. I watched the very first episode that they have. He has that on there. Because I was curious. I wanted to see how it was. I knew it was different. I watched it and I'm like, okay. I'm used to the older one. I'm used to the one that I grew up on, and I get that. So
well, and also, and don't listen to me if you don't want to, but don't judge it by the very first episode either.
true.
I don't know how long it ran, but pick something from the middle of the run, because the first episode they don't know what the hell they're doing, and they're all nervous and shit like that.
Oh yeah, because he also has the first episode from the 73 to 83 run.
Yeah.
And that, that's a little different. Because I mean the very first episode, when they went to the super match, where you pick 3 contestants. Was it that, or was it the big one where you get like $5,000? Maybe that one.
$5,000.
Yeah. Yay, $5,000 in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. Yeah.
And then later it was 10,000, and then right there at the right there at the end, the possible maximum was 20,000.
Wow.
It may have been the one-on-one match, because what he did was he actually pulled the card out and read the clue, and then he allowed the contestant to pick someone to answer it. I was like, that's weird. Because you know what they changed it to was where you just magically picked a celebrity, and then you read the clue. I was like, that, I don't know. It was kind of interesting.
Mm.
And then the episode, I laughed my ass off so much. The episode where they first introduced Starwheel for the big match, because the producers were wanting to try to open it up where someone other than Richard Dawson was getting picked. So they introduced the star wheel. So the contestant rolls the wheel, and then whoever's name comes up, that's the one who gets chosen. The very first time they did it, guess who it landed on?
Oh, it has to be Dawson.
Richard Dawson, and everybody got up and left. it's been fun. I and then just the bickering between Brett Summers and Charles Nelson Riley. Oh my God. So it's been fun. It's been fun to watch.
It's fun to sit back and watch some of these game shows. One that I am hooked on is Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Because they pull no punches. There are some segments on there that are totally X-rated, but they didn't curb themselves. It's like watching Hollywood Squares. Hollywood Squares, would get to a point in filming, and the celebrities were so drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just go ahead and shoot the segment, and hopefully we'll get through it. So some of those reactions were great. And if they had, to me, some of the best were Paul Lynde, Charlie Weaver, who was top notch at coming up with answers, things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
they were always fun to watch.
And with Who's Line, you're going back to the UK version, right?
For what? I'm sorry?
For Whose Line Is It Anyway? You're going back
No. No, the current ones, the current
really?
cast. Yeah. You'll find them doing specials where they'll be live, and we'll say in Las Vegas, and start taking thoughts from the audience. Some of those are just too funny.
It's a pretty good show.
Yeah.
It is.
If you're into improv comedy, don't miss it. It ran between the UK and US versions, it's been running for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of it out there.
Okay. That's pretty much on it for me. Let's go ahead and get into horror month. It is October. Those who are new to the show, every October I put together some kind of a theme, and we watch a bunch of movies based on that theme, and we discuss it. And for this year, I decided to let's do 50s sci-fi horror. More sci-fi than horror, but still. So, with our initial entry is, what the hell happened? Is 1956 Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Was it 56?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I accidentally closed my notes out. Yes, 56.
Ah, that's what that was.
Mm-hmm. So, a film that has been parodied and remade and ripped off and all that good stuff. So let's talk about this film. Or not.
Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thought. Maybe we should try that.
Yeah. Maybe start a podcast or something,
That's a lot
Wow.
of work.
Ow.
It's a lot of work to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, I overthink things, you know.
Mm.
Get a puppy, open a rescue. Big leaps.
Buy a comic book, open a comic book shop.
Right. Big
Yeah,
leaps.
please don't.
Oh, if only we knew 10 years ago what we know now. But anyway, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Mm-hmm.
I liked this one. I've always liked this one. My kids hate this one because anything they do, anything nice, I'd always go, "Where's the Peapod?"
Wow.
Uh-huh.
And I have to say the best line out of the whole movie was when he said, "I didn't know fear until I kissed Becky." It's like, yep. That's usually when guys usually experience their first fear. Or was it Becky? Betty? What was her name? Becky?
I think
Becky.
it was Becky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
some of this didn't make sense, of course. You know, they have to move it along because it was, 80 minutes? But I'm going to skip to the end.
I don't think we can. I think this movie is probably so far into the public domain that spoilers are not an issue.
Right. Yeah. But instead of talking about the beginning, I'm shooting straight to the end. He leaves because they hear music. And she's like, "Oh, that's the happiest sound ever." We see her go wash her face in that dirty ass mine water. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I wondered about
And
that.
yeah, the Peapods ain't gonna kill him. That water will. He's gone for a few minutes and he comes back. So he's gone long enough for the Peapod to come from somewhere, grow, turn into her, for her to fall asleep, for all of her memories to be erased, to become this person that she was. It was like, damn, where the fuck did he go?
Yeah.
In the movies, it's a minute. You know, he's gone and he's back.
Well, but in that time, he comes back and like curls up and goes to sleep. But still, I honestly thought basically the same thing. I thought, up until this point in the movie, you needed a pod.
yeah,
Where the hell's the
I had
pod?
to have one.
Where did she?
Yeah.
How did she just change overnight without a pod?
Without a pod.
And yeah, that's like the only. I mean, there's a lot of far-reaching shit in this movie. That's the least continuity-based one right there. That was the one
Right.
that I'm glad that happened at the end because it kind of threw me out of the movie.
Yeah.
And I was
like-
enjoying the movie quite a bit up to that point. I actually liked
And
this movie too overall.
He couldn't have been gone that long because they heard it. So it's not like it was miles away or anything. He heard it.
Right.
They both heard it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, movie time, it was a couple of minutes because he basically just climbed out and up to the crest and looked over and saw the farm and then came back.
Yeah. And then he came back. It was like, wow. Okay.
Yeah. But hey, if that's the biggest weirdness that that the movie has, we're doing pretty good.
Yeah. And for the most part, they did pretty good at staying, pretty on key. Although they probably got tired of making pods for the main guy. Because he had one that he burnt, one that he took off with a pitchfork. Yeah, there was like
Yeah, they
3
were
or 4 that
persistent.
yeah.
And yeah, he found the pods pretty early on, so he figured out where it was coming from. He just still didn't quite believe it yet when he found the pod, when he started finding the pods.
And I guess I didn't understand that after they were taken over, what happened to the original?
Yeah, they weren't very clear about that, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or-
It's like, shouldn't there be like two of everybody walking around, and
Or a corpse.
that'd be obvious, you know?
Right.
Or even in your B movies, you walk into a room and they're all set up in some kind of weird, creepy way, wrapped in candy floss.
Zombie
Candy
workers
floss.
at the farm where they're growing the pods. Who knows?
Maybe that's what it was. They turned them back into fertilizer.
I mean,
or
it's
something.
either that or they were eating them. I mean, you know.
Ew.
Right. They don't want to go into that in 1956 for sure.
Yeah. And I did like this one because it was scary, but it wasn't that kind of scary. You know? Where
Right.
people were eating bodies and,
It's like a mystery.
yeah.
And you get to actually watch the doctor walk through the steps to figure out how deep the shit really is. I agree. I thought they handled that pretty well.
Mm-hmm. And that would be weird to know that someone looks like someone, they sound like them, they, you know, have all their memories, but there's just something off, you know. Just that little something.
Yep, they got a brand new body that apparently doesn't allow them to feel anything.
Yeah. And I would have yelled at the dog too, so I would have died. The dog would have lived, but I would have died.
You would have willingly sacrificed yourself for the dog.
I would have. I would have chased that dog to make sure it was okay. Yeah, all in all, I liked this one. They kind of gave you a glimpse of craziness at the beginning, and, you know, let me tell you what happened here.
Yeah, I liked it as well. I definitely liked the whole mystery aspect of it, where you're just kind of questioning what the hell's going on until until you get enough information. You go, okay, what's going on? And Kevin McCarthy did a great job carrying this film.
Agreed. He was his was a likable character, and he played the role well, and he played that descent into madness a little bit pretty well
Yeah,
too.
he did.
Yeah,
he did.
He did a good job of playing somebody who'd been awake for 2 straight days on pills and was like on the verge of snapping because of all this crazy shit that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But he was right.
Was. Yeah, at first I was kind of leaning more, well, maybe they are hysterical, you know.
Oh, my Lovecraft reading ass went straight to, oh no, wait, this town is not the first town to have this problem, it's the last. And so I was fully expecting him to go to get into that hospital in whatever that, LA, I guess it was, and just have them just lock him away with a pod and close the door and pan out from there.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I've read too much Lovecraft.
Well, they jumped when they heard it was pods. Oh, maybe he's not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them.
And in 56, had a better job of alerting the nation to a problem than a movie that came out in the 70s about some masks that were killing kids.
Okay, 1, that was like 83 or something, and 2, this was way better written than that movie. But again, we talked about that movie last year. Check out that episode if you want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tom's going to kill us if we rehash that again.
I just had to throw that one in there.
Uh-huh.
It was like, boy, they all jumped. Call this and call that. And, oh, yeah.
How could you dislike a movie like this when your opening scene has Richard Deacon
Mm-hmm.
and Whit Bissell? There's no way to dislike this movie.
Rob.
That's right. Or wasn't he also one of the fathers on Leave It to Beaver?
Yes, he
Played
was.
Fred.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with the others that this is to me, it was a top-notch movie. It was based on a serial of Jack Finney's story. And I enjoyed this so much in so many ways that personally I couldn't fault it. I could not find fault with this. Maybe when Jack, his friend, had him come over to look at the body, and he was told that he would have to give up being a doctor before you saw this. And then when the doctor was saying, well, what is it? The guy looks at him and says, well, you're the doctor. Let's take a look. Well, you just told me to give up being a doctor.
Nope.
This is one I would sit down and watch again and again.
Yep, I'd watch this again too.
Well, I mean, you can see why it's been remade, and like I said, and I think they've tried. There may have been sequels. I don't know. I know that it seems like Hollywood goes to this film and harvests a bunch of stuff out of it to make other films. But I mean, you can see why.
Normally, Amazon will throw up, oh, you might like this one too, and I didn't see any sequels.
Okay.
Just the remake.
Remake.
Right. Remake and,
Yep.
and dozens of rip-offs, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if there were sequels, but I thought they always do sequels. So, I mean,
have you watched the remake?
I was just looking at. I have not seen the remake.
I haven't watched it.
No, I hadn't either.
I remember seeing it when it first came out. I was in 74?
78.
8. Yep.
78. Oh, thank you. And I saw it at the theater. It had a couple of interesting things. The ending was different. But to me, the coolest thing was a man running through the city saying, they're coming, they're here. And that was the lead actor from the original.
Yeah, Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah, I saw that. In a
That's cool.
write-up online, I saw that.
I saw that he was in this one.
Yep.
I'm just looking at clips. Is that Leonard? No, that's not Leonard Nimoy. Who is that?
Leonard Nimoy and Donald Sutherland in the remake.
Huh. I have not seen this.
And Brooke Adams.
Yep.
And Veronica Cartwright.
Cartwright, yeah.
So is it any good, or?
For a different movie, it's okay.
Yeah.
Don't watch the first one and expect the second one to be the same.
Okay.
But don't miss out on the second one.
It's
'Cause-
different, but watch it anyway. Is what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
That's what I look at, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be willing to check it out based on that recommendation.
I would too.
I think it's on Max, among other stuff. So
Mhm.
I'm sure they're
It's also
different.
on Prime.
Cool. I have
Yep.
one of those.
Mm.
It's interesting. I'm reading here that apparently the original ending of the 56 version was Miles out on the highway screaming. So they apparently went back and added the end part. Actually, it looks like they went back and added the whole flashback frame. So they went back and added the part at the beginning also.
That's interesting. So ended with him on the freeway.
Yeah, screaming at cars. So you don't actually get the happy, quote unquote, happy ending. You don't get the relief at the end where they figure out that he's right. So
Before they lock him up.
So it is a little darker. Or was until they fixed it.
Huh.
Honestly, I think I like the happier ending for this. I think it fits better.
I agree, because leaving one hanging for this was, at that time, it was too much.
Yeah.
We had a
I
long
can
way
see
to go in horror cinema before we could get away with that. I mean, it's beautiful and in the mouth of madness, but that's in the mid to late 80s or 90. I forget when. I'm blanking on when that came out exactly. I think we were more ready for it then than we would have been 30 years before or more.
I agree.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
And Jack Finney was a prolific writer. He did a lot of science fiction. He even wrote science fiction books. So he stepped out to do a lot.
I just realized that Teddy was Carolyn Jones.
Yep.
Yes, it was.
I did not recognize her with the blonde hair like that.
Really. The blonde hair was her natural hair color.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what she really looked like.
That's pretty
was-
cool.
She was also in the House of Wax right around the same time, too. With Vincent Price. I believe she was blonde in that one, too. I don't think she was wearing a
I
wig.
think you're right.
Yeah, I believe
I
so.
haven't seen that a bit, but I think you're right.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I would like to rectify that. I'd like to see that again. It's been a while.
And that's a movie that has been done and redone.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
I mean, the one we're talking about, the Vincent Price one, was a remake.
True.
It had
Yeah.
come out it originally came out in the 30s, like 33
Yeah.
or something. That I would like to see. But yeah, there's several interesting appearances and performances in this movie.
Yeah, no two ways about that.
Like, for example, a subtle one. If you even remember the guy, it was a little past halfway in when the meter reader showed up in the basement, because they were starting to Miles was at the point where he was starting to search places to try to find the pods to see if they were anywhere else, and he gets startled in his own house by a noise in the basement, and he opens the basement door, and there's a guy down there who's the meter reader.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, who let him in?
Right. That was Sam Peckinpah who played him, who went on to become a relatively famous director.
Oh yeah, The Wild Bunch,
Mm-hmm.
among others.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, Liz, Carolyn Jones went on to be Morticia Addams in the TV show with her famously long black hair. I actually liked Becky, the romantic interest. I thought that she did a really nice job of not just being your usual
Hysterical
female character. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She did a really nice job of balancing it with the calmness that she carried. I mean, she was pretty unshakable for the most part. I mean, there were times when anybody would have freaked out. There were times she was freaking out. When she was freaking out, Miles was also freaking out for the most part.
Well, like when he was trying to fight, and she was like, "Well, there's not just one of you. There's two of us."
Right. She grabbed a scalpel, took it out of his hand, and said, "Yeah, you're not alone here."
She's ready to throw down.
She was ready to throw down, and that's pretty progressive for 1956.
It is. She had pretty eyes too.
But yeah, a really, really good film. Would recommend this one.
Yep, for sure.
Absolutely. I'd watch it.
Yep.
I'd even watch it again.
And that's saying something.
You make that a lot.
You watch it for $1?
Did you watch it in one setting?
Me? No, of course not.
Yeah.
No, I don't watch anything.
Wasn't that good?
I have a hard time watching. I'm at the point where I have a hard time watching like a half-hour TV show in one sitting, but I can't. The most that I managed at a time was about 30 minutes. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I did not know that was Peckinpah. I knew he was in the movie, but of course they don't run names at the end of those movies.
Mm-mm.
Right. And he's primarily known as a director, so you don't really see him that much.
Yeah, true.
He's behind the camera, strangely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to your point about Richard Deacon, Les, I remember I saw him because he's one of those guys I can never remember his name, but I know exactly who he is. And I saw him at the beginning of this movie, and I'm like, uh-oh, what am I getting into here? And then it turns out he's barely in the thing at all. But yeah, and he's done serious stuff. I mean, this is obviously he's done this. This was serious, but yeah, it's like, is this? I found myself wondering, okay, is this? What's going to happen here? Is this which way is this going to go?
Yeah, when you get him and Whit Bissell in a movie, yeah, anything may happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right off the bat, there's these two familiar faces, and I'm like, these two guys they're not familiar together, but they've both been in a lot of stuff, and so.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Made it fun. It's one of the reasons to watch old movies like this is because you get used to seeing the same people in different roles, and it's kind of fun to keep track of who they are and what kind of stuff they've done, how good they are at it.
And some are exceptional. Some are exceptionally bad.
Mm-hmm.
Watching the remake, you've got Jeff Goldblum and who else? There was one other one that, to me, Goldblum was just playing himself again.
Well, and this was early in his career.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, one thing I also need to mention, since we've already brought up the film, anybody catch the name of the town?
Santa Mira?
Mm-hmm.
No, Lost Boys?
May have
No,
been.
Santa Cruz.
May have been, but it was definitely in Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
So what you're saying?
Well, think about it, because I mean that's how Season of the Witch ends too,
Mm-hmm.
with that Kevin McCarthy moment.
There's now that I mean, thinking back on it, there are some parallels.
Yeah,
There's some tribute there in Halloween 3
Yeah.
that goes back to this movie, I think. I mean, you've got the automatons walking around.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the
aliens.
right. I mean, whether it's plant life or something else.
Came from the sky.
This is just this little town in California that just looks normal, except for it's, well, I mean, in Invasion Body Snatchers, it's modern day, but in Season of the Witch, it looks like you're going back in time. You're going back to a town that looks like it just stayed back in the 50s.
Yep.
So.
Well, and the part of the thing that makes it fun is Santa Mira does not exist.
Right.
It is a fictional town.
It is a fictional town.
It's a very plausible name for a California town.
Mm-hmm.
But there isn't actually a town.
I always loved that line. Irish Halloween masks in California? Why not? Anything's possible.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely watch Invasion of the Body Snatchers. 1956. I'm sure 78 is just as good, but I hadn't seen it, so I can't give my word. But definitely 56 version.
Yep, for sure.
Yep.
In fact, the wife and I just finished watching the remake before the podcast tonight.
Oh, so fresh in your mind then.
Yeah.
Cool.
And she was going, well, wasn't she in this or that? And I said, yeah, but the one you're thinking about is her younger sister who was on Lost in Space. So I had to set my wife straight. Usually it just takes one good swing to do that, but
Never put that together. I never put that together.
What, that they're related?
Yeah. Never had thought about that.
And didn't Veronica play in Alien?
She was an alien,
did.
yes. That's what I knew her first from.
Okay.
Was Alien.
Mm-hmm.
And then here and there after that. So. All right. Well, definitely check out this film. It's definitely
please
worth
do.
the time.
Yep.
And on that note, we are going to take a quick break and be back with Geek News for you. And we're back, and it's time for Geek News for you. In this segment, we usually bring a couple of news items to the table for discussion. And this week, it is Liz and myself. And Liz, would you like to go first?
Sure. I've got a weird one for everyone. We've kind of talked about this before, and I didn't really understand the direction they were going to take with this. And now that I see the direction they are taking with this, I'm kind of I'll let you guys decide. Mattel is doing they had success with Barbie, so they're like, hey, what other childhood memory can we ruin here? And they've thrown Barney into the ring. Now, at first, when I thought Barney and the character design I saw of Barney and everything else, I was thinking, okay, this is going to be a kid's show. No. We were wrong. We were so wrong on that. It's not going to be a kid's show. It's going to be a movie. And the way that the director, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, but we'll just call him Daniel. The way he has described this movie is that it's going to be an A24 type movie. Now, when I looked at that, I was like, what the hell is that? Because in this interview, everybody was like, oh, yeah, like they knew what he was talking about. I've never heard of that. So I looked it up, and they said that an A24 company movie is frantic pacing, unfettered maximalism, some degree of on-screen substance abuse or depictions of self-harm, a whole wash of neon lighting, and a plucky underdog hero. So they're going to have Barney strung out on heroin with some neon lights.
So it's going to be Cocaine Barney.
I guess so. But he said that, let's see, where did he say this? That it was going to be a more, geared towards the 30-somethings who grew up with Barney and, their trial and tribulations that they faced as a grown-up, I guess. But how the hell does Barney fit into that? To me, when I read it, the article I used for the one that'll be posted is from People. I've got another link I'll post, but they kind of break it down a little bit more. And when I read the description, I'm thinking, oh, so this is going to be like Ted, but with a dinosaur.
This is your Clifford movie again.
All over. And after reading the description, it was like, maybe Clifford was an A24 type movie.
Maybe.
So it's kind of, I don't know. I think they're trying to tap into a generation that got tired of Barney, and or maybe that's the mood they're going for, is these people who just got so sick and tired of him. And I don't want to. I know I'm going to regret even putting this out in the universe, but it's not that I hated Barney. I mean, Barney. Yeah. Barney was annoying after you listened to it over and 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 over again. But on a kid's level, he did put out a good, solid program that was good for kids. I had problems with it because, now as an adult, I wasn't a kid watching this, but as an adult, the only problem I had with Barney is he never taught the kids to solve their problems, but how to deal and live with that problem. Come on. I mean, in life there are going to be problems you can't fix. But in kids programming, that should not be introduced.
Right. You don't need to stress on that yet.
Right.
Don't convince these little kids that they can't solve problems.
Right. Or that they just have to deal with it, and cope with that. Because, no, you got to face your fears. And sometimes Barney wasn't so much of facing the fear, but let's sing a song under the table kind of thing. And to me, I didn't like that. But as a kid, I don't know if they picked up on the same thing that I picked up on, To them, it was a singing dinosaur, And for us parents, it was something that was being played nonstop in our house. Today's generation, Baby Shark is Barney. It's it's not that there was ever anything wrong with Baby Shark. It's just after you hear it for the millionth time, that nerve that was tweaking finally breaks. You know, that's the problem that was with Baby Shark. Cocomelon, it's same downfall. But once again, these are things that are teaching our kids a valuable lesson, you know, and that's why we as parents, we put up with that because there is some substance or value to that. Reading the synopsis for this movie, I don't see that anymore. I don't see the substance or the value in this. I see it them spoofing on everybody hated the dinosaur, you know. And if they're trying to pull a second Barbie out of their ass, this is not going to be it. It's not. Barbie was never hated. You know, she was never chased off of TV. I mean, there were two different scenarios, but they're expecting the same outcome. Oh, because everybody loved him. Yes, but now you're trying to make him a heroin addict. I don't know if we want that. It's kind of crazy. Like I said, I know from, I guess you want to call it quote, air quotes there, the Winnie the Pooh movie that came out. People are like, oh, you know, let's traumatize people's childhood and it'll be cool. And it did have some success. I heard there was a second one in the works. But I kind of feel like this is falling in the lines of those. It's not necessarily an honor to your childhood. It's let's traumatize your childhood. And I don't know, some things should be left alone. And as much as the big guy pissed me off with my kids growing up, I think Barney should be one of those things that you just don't mess with like that. Why does drugs have to be around Barney? What's wrong with having something pure and simple anymore? You know, have we thrown that out the window, or I just don't get it. Oh, everyday life problems. Well, I'm sorry, my 4-year-old don't need to know that we're struggling to pay the bills. I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying? And of course they're like, well, we're not making it for them. No, but who do you think's going to watch this? You know, I'm not going to go watch it, you know, but a kid who sees a purple dinosaur might want to. So it's crazy. Like I said, I think they should leave things alone. And at first I could have dealt with another kid show of Barney. Hell, if they would have fixed some of the problems that Barney had, which the cute little design they gave of Barney, they could have done that. But to go in this route instead, I think they're totally missing the mark. But
Well, and the box office returns will tell them that.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
It'll either sell or it won't. And the deal is if it sells, that was their point. And if it doesn't, then they'll do something different next time.
Yeah. I guess they kind of, I don't want to go into what I originally had planned to talk to you about tonight. But I feel like here lately our kids programming has taken a big hit. And when I saw this, it was just kind of the finishing wrecking ball piece, you know? I don't know. I think there's just some things they need to leave alone. And kids programming, how many sports channels do you need, people? You know? I'm still kind of upset over that. There's not a lot of good programming out there nowadays. And when they got a chance to get something that would grab kids' attention, oh, let's make it a teen angst movie, you know. We ain't got enough of those. So, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't feel this one.
Right. Well, and the deal is, it's your opinion, which opinions are not wrong. Which doesn't mean they don't suck from time to time. And I'm not judging this one either.
Yeah.
I, for one, And, oh, totally.
He is.
That's not the
He's
point.
secretly judging me.
Secretly.
Right.
I mean, other than telling you every week that I'm judging you? Come on now.
Right.
I mean, I don't have the, I was way too late for Barney, and my kid is too young at this point. Barney was gone by the time my kid was that age, so I don't have any connection to it. You have a connection to it, and it bothers you that they're doing this weird thing to it. Okay, that's cool. I mean, then you will vote with your dollars
Yep.
when it comes down to it. I'm actually I'm willing to bet that there are people that hated Barney enough as kids that they will want to see this. Whether there's enough of them for this movie to make money or not, I don't know. But
All right.
I
Yeah.
mean, Barney was a
Which
cultural
then I
thing.
think that's part of what they want to capitalize on too is the hate.
Yeah,
And to
totally.
me, that's sad. Because once again, we've taken a child image, and thrown it in an adult situation.
Right, especially given that more than likely most of that hate is actually attributable to the parents. Because kids pick up on shit like that. And if
Yes.
the parents if the kids are in the room watching Barney and the parents are in the kitchen sucking on coffee and saying how much they despise Barney, the kids are going to overhear that at some point, and it's going to sway their opinions of Barney.
Well, and not only that, Barney was PBS. And kids are they fucking suck sometimes, but PBS in school is like poor people TV. So if you admitted that you watched Barney, you were automatically laughed and made fun of because it was on poor people TV. Or, oh, you still like a purple dinosaur. So I think a lot of these kids who are like, oh, I hate Barney. They don't hate Barney. They hated being made fun of because of Barney. They hated admitting that they liked it and that it was a poor people TV. I love PBS. And I pay for every goddamn streaming thing they give me, and we still watch PBS. But kids suck, and that's the way it is,
In all fairness, all humans suck. It's not just kids.
Yeah, but kids are more brutal with it because
Kids
they don't know
haven't
that.
learned to be diplomatic. Kids haven't been brainwashed into being nice to each other yet. That's all.
They haven't developed that filter we have.
Right, over years of systematic abuse. This Barney thing is how they build that filter.
Yeah.
Or
But
part of it anyway.
if I absolutely hated Barney wouldn't have played in my house as much as he did.
Right.
But like I said, it was annoying, but my kid liked it. So it's a trade-off.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was trash and it was annoying, my kid wouldn't have watched it. So, like I said, I think a lot of the hate that Barney got was because it was cool to hate on Barney. So, yeah.
How many attendees of the movie are going to be closet followers?
Right.
I've got
A
a
lot of
feeling
them.
I've got a feeling you're going to have a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. Because I just hope they don't make Barney a drug user or something, Because whether he's on TV now or not, he's still a child's role model. So.
Yep.
That's true.
People are always going back to the older episodes that Selena Gomez and Demi Lovato were on. So he still played. It's not like he disappeared.
Right. They just quit making new ones.
Yep.
Okay. Mike, I think she's on to you.
Probably. About damn time. Jeez.
For my news item, this is a little bit older by a couple of weeks, but I had not heard anything about this until a few days ago when I was looking around at other news sites start using as my sources, since one is starting to be a really big asshole. I won't mention the name, but y'all probably encountered it yourself, so that's okay. And this kind of caught my attention. As we know, we are getting a Secret Wars movie in 2027, but it sounds like, now apparently there's 2 or 3 other rumors out there, but according to this, after Secret Wars, which will end Phase 6 of the MCU, it's being reported that it's going to be rebooted. And it's not just the MCU, it's also affecting what they call the legacy films, such as Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Wesley Snipes' Blade, and all the other films that come before it. So after 2027, we're going to get a new slate of films with new casts and everything. This is kind of intriguing in my opinion, for a couple reasons. One, now you can actually incorporate the X-Men into the MCU, which, I mean, they're fighting to do right now, but anything they do right now, it's not going to make any sense, because this universe does not know a lot about mutants. So all of a sudden you're going to have a bunch of these characters appear, well, we're mutants, and you're just now showing up. How are you able to keep yourself secret? So this solves that kind of problem. So they'll be properly into the MCU along with Fantastic Four. Marvel Studios has a pretty good relationship with Sony, so I'm sure they can get Spider-Man and others in there. So it's going to be that would fix all of that. The other thing is casting. People are not going to like it, but there's going to be someone else playing Tony Stark. There's going to be someone else playing Steve Rogers, assuming they use these characters when they start over again. But, Robert Downey Jr. is probably not going to do any more other than maybe the Secret Wars. If you've seen any of the comments Chris Evans been doing for the last couple weeks or so, I don't see him doing Cap again. The other thing that's really kind of a hot, I don't want to say hot button, but I don't know what to be the equivalent. T'Challa, Black Panther. With the passing of Chadwick Boseman, there was all this talk. Well, do we recast him or not? Or we just go ahead and kill off the character, which is what they did. Well, he's back into play with the reboot. He can get another actor. And so he's not. So whoever that actor is, he's not playing Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther. He's playing what's going to be his version. So
like they do with Spider-Man and stuff.
Yeah. Now, by this time, they'll have gotten all of these things back into the Marvel Studios umbrella.
Yeah.
So
they can then do what they want.
Right. So, it is intriguing. I mean, I know we're not really that big on reboots and all that kind of stuff, but this would solve a lot of problems and maybe open up some doors that they can't do right now. So, it is interesting. We'll just have to wait and see. And from everything I'm reading, there was some stuff came out today. Secret Wars is, they're saying it's ending the whole multiverse story arc, which I know there's going to be a lot of people going and saying, thank God, because everybody else is doing multiverse stuff now. But apparently it's going to incorporate a lot of these other characters. Like, you can have Toby and Andrew and Tom there, but you can also have you maybe have Wesley Snipes. Maybe you have Eric Bana's Bruce Banner there. Bring all these others. It's kind of like I'm kind of thinking about CW's Crisis on Infinite Earths event that they did, where all of a sudden they're acknowledging all these other shows and movies that came before, even if it's just for a second or two. It's just acknowledgement. Said, hey, these do exist. So we'll see. I mean, we're still a few years away from that.
Mm.
You're saying that this is to be a movie instead of a series?
No, Secret Wars is going to be a movie, but it's not going to be like the either two of the miniseries, because frankly you can't, because they've kind of gone different directions with the stories and all that in the movies. But it's basically it sounds like, hey, here's one last hurrah for this version of this character and this version of character, and then get that all resolved and then start over from square one again.
Well, I'm not wild about that.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like the films don't exist. So, you know.
You and I know that. But is the studio going to acknowledge all of it?
Well, I mean, they don't acknowledge Eric Bana's Hulk.
Granted.
And I don't want to just pick on Disney's MCU. I mean, we just talked about Halloween. I mean, not once, but twice they've come back and said, okay, well, these films don't exist. This is what, and it's not just Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's others that have done that. And yeah, people get upset about that, but it's also, but once again, those films are there. Doesn't matter what they're saying. They exist. You have copies of them. They're played all the time. Just in this case, it solves a lot of their problems, gets things back on ground zero, and maybe are able to do things that they can't do right now. Because, like I said, the mutants really haven't been in it for 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, more than 10 years now, because it was 2019. Or no, 2009 when Iron Man came out. I mean, we're just now acknowledging mutants with Miss Marvel, and then everybody who showed up on Multiverse of Madness. You know, you got Xavier and all that, and we're gonna get that with Deadpool 3. So it seems like it's a good way to say, okay, this is gone, because and start over and maybe to have things a little bit simpler, because that's been one of the problems with the last couple of phases, especially Phase 4. It seems like there's a lot of confusion. You get rid of all this and start over from square one and say, okay, here we go, and keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, hopefully they don't put too much emphasis on the stupid part. But anyway.
Well, I just had a question about being called stupid. But
I don't question it anymore. I'm used to it.
what, calling me stupid?
No,
hey,
me
wait a
calling
minute.
me being stupid.
I don't know. Just to me, it kind of makes sense. I mean, it's kind of sad, but, you know, these actors are not going to play these roles much longer. I mean, people are screaming for, like I said, people are screaming for Robert Downey and Chris Evans come back and play these characters. They've played them for 10 years, 15 years now.
Yeah.
They want to do something else. Please let them do it. Would I love to have another Chris Evans Cap movie? Oh, God, yes. But if I don't get one, you know what? I've got the 3 Cap films and the Adventure films. They're there. They exist. I can watch them and enjoy them.
True.
Well, until Disney shows up at your door and demands your DVDs.
Well, we'll see we'll see that if that happens.
Interesting.
It is very interesting. I mean, by no means is this a done deal, because the article itself says there's other stuff being bantied about too. So we won't know. We won't know until, for a little while. But this is the one that kind of, from what I'm reading, is like, okay, that makes sense. That way you can get things set up right and begin again. So we'll see. All right. Any special shout outs or mentions this week?
No, not me.
None here.
Nope.
All right, we'll move on to our regular shout-outs. I want to thank Pop Goes the Culture Podcast Network for allowing us to be part of a great group of fellow podcasts. Definitely check them out. There will be a link in the show notes. We also want you to check out the fine men and women who make up Podern Family on Twitter or X, however you want to call it, who've been kind enough to spread the word of the fellowship by retweeting our links. The best way to do that is just do a search, hashtag Podern Family, all one word. Scroll through, whatever catches your attention, click on that link and download that episode. We hope you have a great time listening to them. We want to thank Manny the Martyr for supplying music for our podcast. In our show notes, there will be a link where you can check out their music. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We value your feedback. Any comments, questions, suggestions, complaints, observations, what have you, please send them our way. Email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Or you can go to the About Us page, and there's a contact form you can fill out. I didn't mention this earlier, but we do have a Discord. There is an open invitation on our homepage. On our Discord, we post a lot of news items, stuff for discussions, stuff to laugh at, videos, memes, activities. We just did a movie night, well, not really a night, but we did a movie day here a couple weeks ago, and we're planning on trying to do another one here real soon. You usually can find one or two of us there at any time. But if you want to post your comments regarding our show, there is a specific channel just for feedback. On social media, we're on Facebook, The Fellowship of the Geeks. On Instagram, Twitter, and Hive Social, we're at Fellowship Geeks. If you like to first follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found at Mikey Geek. Liz can be found at LN_Geek. Les may or may not be found at Fake Les Webster. And I can be found at Tom TC Geek. And from wherever you download our episodes, if you'd be so kind as to rate and review the show, it would be greatly appreciated. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We do appreciate the support as always. And until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,